This is Mrs. Pena. We're going to use the factor theorem. Show that 2x minus 1 is a factor of 6x to the third plus 23x squared minus 5x minus 4. Then find the remaining factors of the polynomial. If 2x minus 1 is a factor, then when you divide 6x cubed plus 23x squared minus 5x minus 4 by 2x minus 1, your remainder should be 0. If 2x minus 1 is a factor, then I can set it equal to 0 and solve it for x, so x would equal 1/2. This is the value when I do synthetic division to find my zeros or to reduce my polynomial. I can put this value of 1/2 up in the box and take my coefficients and write those in descending order. X cubed coefficient is 6. X squared coefficient is 23. The x coefficient would be -5. And my constant term is -4. I'm going to do synthetic division and use 1/2 as my divisor. So first step, bring down the 6. 23, or 1/2 times 6 is 3. Add 23 and 3 and you get 26. 1/2 times 26 is 13. Add and you get 8. 1/2 of 8 is 4. Add and you get 0. This is a beautiful thing. My remainder is 0. When I get that 0, that means 2x minus 1 is a factor. Using the 1/2 and the coefficients that I have at the bottom, I can write 6x cubed plus 23x squared minus 5x minus 4 as, here is my 0, so in this case x would equal 1/2, so x minus 1/2 would be my 0. So when I write it as my factorization, I'm going to use x minus 1/2 times, and now I started off with a cube for my original polynomial. That means that my first coefficient here will be the coefficient 1 degree less. So this will be 6x squared plus 26x plus 8. Ignoring the x minus 1/2 for a minute and only looking at this polynomial of 6x squared plus 26x plus 8. Every term here is even. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the x minus 1/2 and I'm going to factor a 2 out of all of these terms and write this as 3x squared plus 13x plus 4. 6x squared divided by 2 is 3x squared. 26x divided by 2 is 13x. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And this 2 I'll multiply through back in this binomial here and get 2x, and 2 times -1/2 is -1, and I get back to my original divisor, and I'll be left with 3x squared plus 13x plus 4. Now I have a quadratic and I can try to factor that. Recopy 2x minus 1 and write your parentheses to factor this trinomial. Ways to multiply to get 3x squared are 3x and x. Ways to multiply to get to be 4 are 4 times 1 and 2 times 2. I'm going to look at my middle term. Since 13 is a lot bigger than 3 and 4, or significantly higher than 3 and 4, I'm going to use 4 and 1 and try to factor with those numbers. And both will be plus since it's positive 4 and positive 13x. Check your middle term. This is 4x. The outer terms are 3x. When you add that up, you get 7x and not 13x. So I'm going to change, and I'm going to rewrite this and try to factor this as, with a 1 here and a 4 there. This is 1x. 1 times x is 1x. 3x times 4 is 12x. When I add those up, I get 13x. That's factored correctly because my middle term is 13x. So my final solution, when I find the remaining factors, it would be 3x plus 1 and x plus 4. So the other factors, other than 2x minus 1, are 3x plus 1 and x plus 4.